Hello everyone, I'm JP. Today we have a 2013 Chevy Malibu. We're going to be doing lab 8, which is the ignition lab. We have a coil on plug system. It's got 4 pins, power, ground, ECU, trigger, signal, diagnostic feedback signal. And they're all in pretty good condition, not oiled up or fouled, nothing, no leaking from the valve cover on them.
All right, so here we have one of the spark plugs from this engine. You can see it's pretty fouled up because this engine definitely doesn't have enough run time, or it doesn't even have enough time to even warm up fully. We only pulled one of them because we're assuming because it's a lab car, it's gonna be all the same. But this is just a simple example, and it is a platinum or iridium plug off the tip. So we searched up on ALLDATA if there was any procedure with ignition timing, and we found out there wasn't any procedure or modifications that we could do because the car is equipped with knock sensors, and that's what controls all the timing that the car needs to do.
Hello, all right, so today we got my Kia Rio here in. Has had plugs done to it, but they're not all identical, and I don't know how they put them in or what kind they put in. So I just got a fresh pair of Duralast plugs, and we got some new nice all identical NGKs, because I also know that there's random brands in there right now. We're gonna change them out, see what readings we get, if we get any, and if not, we're gonna just take a look at the condition of the plugs. All right, so we got the plugs and coils out. I have them here back in this box. They're in order from left to right, leftmost, then left, right, rightmost. They look fine. There's carbon obviously buildup on them, but the actual electrode itself looks tan, brownish colored looking. The porcelain on the inside of the insulator is fine as well. One thing I did notice was that the previous owner had replaced it with these. I'm not sure what brand this is, but they're a no-name aftermarket. And then we have Hyundai Kia original. And then one thing I noticed on these was that there's a crack. So that's not good. That one had to get replaced anyways. And I'm replacing them obviously with all Duralast, same brand, brand new. And yeah, that's about it. All right, so just for a quick comparison, here's a brand new one. This is an NGK, also Iridium. These are both Iridium. They are side by side. The center electrode, this one's a little bit more worn out than this one, but they're basically pretty new. This one is also considered pretty new, but it's just worn. All right, so the spec on ALLDATA for the gap on these is 0.039 to 0.042 thousandths of an inch. Right here we have a feeler gauge that's 0.040 thousandths of an inch, and you don't want to jam this in there because you can damage the center electrode. You want to just eyeball it right next to it. See, I just slid it in by accident, but it's fine. Don't do that, but it should be fine if you just hold it up and you eyeball it. If it's pretty good, you know, you're good to go. If it's not, if it's too big of a gap, just tap it on a hard surface ever so gently. And if it's too small of a gap, take some pliers, something carefully, and just barely open it little by little, and you're good. So when installing spark plugs, you should always use a torque wrench. The spec for this is 9 to 18 foot-pounds. We're going to do 18 foot-pounds. Oftentimes people under or overshoot the torque spec for them. If you don't use a torque wrench, you can just overdo it. So these are not, like right now there's not a lot of restriction, but should click here soon. There's that click, shows I'm good. That's not that tight. If I were using a ratchet, I might over tighten that, and that might insert the plug farther into the cylinder than it should be, and that could potentially lead to a piston slapping the plug or valves interfering with the plug. All right, so here's a wiring diagram for this 2013 Malibu. The highlighted wire here is the one that we're back probed into. That's going to give us our ignition signal, and we can see our dwell and our somewhat of a amperage ramp. We're not amp clamped in, but we can see that in the square wave.
So right here, we're tapped into our yellow wire on our ignition coil. You can see it's gonna be turned on, so this is gonna be our little bit current ramp. And you can see a big spike in the voltage, which is our magnetic field collapsing. And then the spark is gonna jump the electrode. And maybe we can probably see this little on time of spark right here, and then it kind of goes off. That's just our little pico reading for the ignition coil of our primary. Yeah. So now we're tapped into our return for our signal or our low ref. You see that we don't really get a digital like we would usually do on most cars, but we do get a signal for each time it fires. All these wires all spliced in together, so that's why we're seeing so many. So these are all the wires, all 4 coils, all firing. Theoretically, if we were to cut one, we would see one get loose, like this. Now we can only see 3. It's not only 3 cylinders are firing. But yeah, if we plug it back in, we're gonna have 4 again. And this is just our, it just makes sure that the cylinder and coil is firing.